So what is 1,000 True Fans? What is this concept, which if you master, you can actually make a full-time living as a creator or as an artist? Let's take a second to read from this article, which I will also be citing down below. To be a successful creator, you don't need millions. My friend, do the math. And I hated math when I was growing up, having to use that complicated subject to do things like geometry and calculus and you name it, physics, right? But when it comes to the art and science of actually earning income online, I think math is incredibly important. So do the math. If you have 1,000 true fans and they are purchasing a product and you're making profit of $100 per head, how much are you making per year from that collection, from that fan base? You're making about $100,000 per year. So what Kevin Kelly is saying is that you don't need thousands and tens of thousands of people. You don't need millions of people. All you need is 1,000 people who are actually going to purchase your creative work, whether that's being a videographer, an artist, an author. It could be even more like you're making web series. All you need to do is make $100 profit per fan. You have 1,000 true fans and you can satisfy that requirement of going full-time with your creative work. So now you understand the strategy. You know the strategy to actually go out there and earn a full-time living from your passion. All you need is 1,000 true fans. But then the question is like, okay, Sal, I understand this, but how? Tell me, how do I actually do this? And that's really what I come into play, and that's really what I love to do, is to demystify complicated topics for you and bring just a little bit more clarity to that. So first of all, I want to give you an example, because I think this example is really going to illuminate some of the strategies and tactics which you can actually employ in order to achieve that objective of getting 1,000 true fans. This is a great example of this concept of 1,000 true fans really being put into action. First, they started and they launched a successful Kickstarter campaign, which has actually allowed them to pioneer and to actually begin putting their creative work out there to the world.
The idea is, Black Sands is a comic series based on ancient Egyptian mythology following the rise of Osiris. It's a dope series. It's been going on for about 5 years now, and we're about wrapping up the end of season 1, right? And, the anniversary editions that we're doing in this Kickstarter is because it's the 5-year anniversary of the company, right? And we're doing special limited edition variant covers that are in hieroglyphic styles, right? So, all the covers are reimagined on the hard covers in hieroglyph and signed by me and my artists who I have to fly in from another country in order to get them signed. So it's a very unique experience. Nobody's ever had signed copies from my artists before. So this is like very, very unique for those who have been a fan of Black Sands for a while. And it's very limited. It's only 1,000 copies that ever be printed. So it's definitely big. And that's why you saw that huge burst at the beginning of the campaign.
What made you decide to go back to Kickstarter? Because you could have obviously unveiled this on your website. I'm sure you could have done this in many different ways. Why did you decide to go back to the platform?
Usually it's just because of exclusivity of it, because it's such a limited print run, right? And it's like collectibles, right? It just fits the Kickstarter vibe, right? Like I don't do pre-orders on my website just because I hate the logistics of pre-orders on regular stores.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
a lot of work.
So pre-orders on Kickstarter feels good.
Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillrite is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillrite today. Link in the description. Number 2, they took that collection, that fan base, which they were able to gather and build on Kickstarter, which is a crowdfunding platform, and then they launched a Patreon campaign. And with Patreon, people are supporting you on a residual monthly basis, supporting your creations, supporting your work, and supporting yourself as a patron of the arts, really, when it comes to your artwork.
Do you do anything in terms of collecting your audience? Do you have a Discord group or anything like that where people can chat?
Yeah, so I do have a Patreon community. And I do have a Discord connected to the Patreon. So, people do talk there. People do work on projects there as well. But mostly it's social media, right? So my IG is extremely lively. My TikTok's all right too, but definitely Instagram is what my base is. And most people who are ever working with us or taking classes and stuff are on YouTube. So this is the way I usually structure everything, and it's been working out pretty well for me. Like I said, we're starting to expand all these things now to get more interactive on a consistent basis with our fan base, right? Because I feel like I have been a little bit like I can't, like I told you, I can't rely on social media too much, right? So we got to have more direct avenues like podcast and more dedicated Discords, where it's more like really group heavy, those kind of
it sounds like you're building your network for sure. For those that have just learned or are trying to learn about Patreon, how do you feel like doing the Kickstarter is different from running a Patreon campaign?
Well, it's completely night and day. Like Kickstarter is way easier than Patreon ever will be. So there's a couple of things that makes Patreon a mess for consistent growth, right? One, the processing they do. They have to process every single month on the first of the month. A lot of people's cards decline for whatever random reason, right? And they don't usually get back in. So you're going to have a natural drop off every single month. So the idea of, hey, I'll just get 20 new patrons every month and I'll be able to grow. That's not how it works, right? It's like if you get 20 new patrons every single month, you'll have 0 patrons at the end of the next month because the processing, right? So you have to get burst. You have to get a burst amount of patrons. And the only way you could do that is with exclusive content and exclusive events and opportunities, right? Basically, all your patrons are kind of like employees. Like there's some benefit to them that they're there for. They're not there just to read your series. They're not there to help you make your series. They're there because there's a personal opportunity for them, right? And that's why we have, I think, right now we have the highest earning patron on Patreon right now. We're at $18,000 and stuff like that a month, and it's because there's opportunities for voice acting, for editing, for any of this stuff, training courses, right? There's personal opportunities for them, right? And even if that opportunity doesn't pertain to them directly, right? There might be a new one that they don't want to miss out on, right? There's always something different.
Got it. So you're basically, giving that opportunity to your audience to be able to be featured, to be a part of the art that you're making, right?
Yep.
Whether that's like an anime or whether that's a comic book.
And then they went and they launched a WeFunder campaign where they actually gave all of those people access to own a slice of the pie and to become an equity investor in the company. And they raised over $1 million on WeFunder, which is so cool, which is insane. Obviously raising capital, and there are a lot of different sites out there to do that. So there's like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, WeFunder is a new thing. What made you guys decide to do a WeFunder instead of go the more traditional comic book kind of route, doing a Kickstarter campaign?
Yeah, so I believe it's just levels to raising capital. So at the end of the day, when you're doing Kickstarter, you're doing a glorified pre-order for future items, right? And the amounts that you're raising, technically you could raise $1 million on Kickstarter, right? But not many people actually do. With us, we had already done a $50,000 round on Kickstarter in 2018. And we're always looking for higher rounds. How do we get to a higher level? We figured that if we were to incentivize people to give us $500,000, we got to start giving up stock, right? We got to start giving like real tangible ownership in our company in order to get those things. So then we started planning for that. In 2019, we started planning for investment rounds. And we did our first one in February of 2020 and raised $500,000 in about 3 weeks. And, ever since then, we've just been, going hard since then. So this directly shows you how by harnessing this concept of getting at least 1,000 true fans, it can lead to success, not just in launching a product, but also in creating residual income flows, and lastly, in actually raising capital for your business. My man, we have just discovered fire because it is easier than ever before to get your project out there. If you're doing something like a Kickstarter campaign launch, if you're trying to raise money, for example, to produce a new film or an animated series, you're trying to get a lump sum of cash deposited into your bank account so you can go out there and actually make the thing or actually expand on your trailer, right? Or if you're doing something else like a book, actually come up with a full finished version, do mass production, Kickstarter is an incredible tool to do that, and as well Indiegogo. So I do have a great tutorial which is free, available on YouTube, and I will be linking to that YouTube video down below if you'd like to learn how to actually set up a Kickstarter campaign and more that goes into that style of crowdfunding.
Number 2, numero dos. And I say numero dos because I'm actually adopted from El Salvador and I've been learning more and more Spanish. And my home base is in Miami, Florida. And I've actually been getting a lot better at Spanish, just being around different Spanish speaking people as well. And obviously I love to travel at the same time, but I do of course have my home base in Miami. So number 2, if you really want to have residual income flows into your business, if you want to be paid on a monthly basis for your creative work, whether that's being a podcaster, a blogger, a YouTuber, a comic book creator, a web series creator, or doing animation in any kind of form factor, or any other kind of medium or channel in which you're putting out creative work, you should definitely look into Patreon. Because with Patreon, you can gather a fan base of people who are supporting you on a per creation or a monthly basis. I also have some great videos out there on how to actually launch your Patreon, get your first patrons, and actually get paid within a matter of 30 days when it comes to launching your Patreon campaign. And as well, I have a great free course which goes even more in depth into some of the tactics and the strategies to be able to do that, and also some of the tools that you don't know about when it comes to launching your Patreon campaign. So if you want to turn your passion into profit and you want to have recurring income for your business as a creative type, go and check out my free course down below, which I will link up, my free course on Patreon. My man, at this point in the video, you should be fired up. You should be excited. Leave a comment down below if you are feeling good about actually going out there and claiming what's yours. A lot of times when you're a creative type, you might see people who are more talented than you, seeing more success than you. It's not that they're more talented artists or more talented content creator. It's that they understand the marketing, the psychology, and the business side of actually making money as a creator. And that's how I would love to help you. So if you do want to help yourself, take a second to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give me a thumbs up as well so I know that this video, you liked it, was worth your time. Leave a question down below if you have a question related to earning income as a creative type. But stay tuned for my video next week because we're coming out with gold. I think you're really gonna love it. And again, my name is Salvador Brigman. I will see you next time.